What's up guys, welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/SupernovaRevenge. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. This story's called, You Slept With My Girlfriend? Better Watch Your Back. Full disclosure, this isn't my story. It happened to a friend of mine who lives in the USA a long time ago, so dialogue isn't exact. He gave me permission to post it on Reddit. For ease of writing, I'll write it as if it happened to me. Due to the nature of the story, some details have been changed. Here's the cast. There's me. Karen, me's girlfriend, had a drug addiction but was clean for 2 years, important for later. Jill, business owner. Jake, old friend, booty hole of the story. I live with my girlfriend Karen and my old grade school friend Jake, who is working as a sales rep. We live on the outskirts of a well-known city in the States. I was in my late 20s. I found myself looking for work as a bar I was working at closed down. Knowing I was desperate for work, Jake calls me and tells me his new girlfriend Jill just purchased a motel bar with a small kitchen and she is after hired help. Needless to say, I jump at the opportunity as Karen wasn't working, the bills were piling up, and our health insurance was due. I called Jill, arranged to meet her at her new property to introduce myself. Jake made the introductions in person and had already told Jill I was a hands-on DIY person with hospitality experience. Now to explain. My dad is a Sparky and believes if you can pay someone to fix something, you could probably do it cheaper yourself. He taught me lots and still does to this day. After a 30-minute chat, Jill tested me with a few odd jobs like rewiring an outlet, fixing a clogged sink, and quizzed me on liquor laws. Needless to say, I was hired that day. Originally, work was all about getting the property ready for business. Jill thought it would have been minor work, paint, replacement of fixings and furniture. We soon found out the electrical wires were shot. The whole place needed rewiring, which was a cause of stress for Jill as it would have blown her budget. Lucky for Jill, my dad was between contracts and offered his services using leftover stock, already paid for from other jobs. Jill would need to cover the cost of any new product required. As for labor, his payments, he said he enjoys a steak and a beer on Friday nights. After 3 weeks of helping Dad, the wiring was done, was up to code, and at a fraction of the cost. Jill and I spent 1 to 2 months painting all 15 motel rooms, bistro, bar, cleaning the kitchen, cool rooms, etc. Jake would offer to help, but always left after 20 minutes saying he has to make a sale. Jill often worked well into the night. After all, this was her dream. I'd take some furniture home to restore after hours and return it once restored. Business opened up after 6 months, and thanks to Dad, opened under budget. Jill managed the business and ran the kitchen. I worked where I was needed, in the kitchen, on the bar, tending to maintenance. I was on salary, second in charge, and could work in any position. That's what she said. Things went smoothly for a year. Business was turning a profit. Dad was getting his weekly beer and steak. Karen seemed happy. Jake was still working as a sales rep for a pharmaceutical company. One day I felt crooked at work, so I clocked off and went home early. Pulling into my driveway, with the exception of a turning gut, things felt normal. Jake's car was there, but he lived there, so I didn't think anything was wrong. As usual, I parked behind Jake, important for later. When I opened the door, I found Karen doing the reverse cowgirl with Jake on the couch. After seeing me, Jake grabbed his pants and ran out through the back door. Karen and I argued into the night. She tried blaming me, saying I'm never home, I'm spending too much time with Jill. We were keeping things professional, I was her employee. I went to bed and told her she can sleep in Jake's bed as she clearly finds it more comfortable. I called Jill and informed her of this as Jake was her boyfriend. She was upset as he cheated on her, but admitted she suspected he was seeing someone else. Jill offered me a room at the motel until I figured out my next move. The next day, I loaded my personal effects in the truck. Jake's car was still there as I had blocked it in. I told Karen she can keep the rental and the furniture. I told Karen I'd be back for my tools in a few hours and I would appreciate if she wasn't there. I went home that afternoon to load my tools into my truck. While I was grabbing something from under my workbench, I found a bag I wasn't familiar with. Upon closer inspection, I found a large quantity of little tablets. The way they were packed and hidden made me realize they were probably ecstasy. A thorough search of the house led me to finding 2 more bags and about $12,000 in cash. I put 2 and 2 together and realized that Jake's pharmaceutical sales job was code for drug dealer, and Jake probably traded pills to Karen for sex. I was beyond angry until I realized that I have all I need to get him back. The revenge. Jake's car still hadn't moved. I went inside and grabbed his spare keys, chucked on a pair of gloves that were in the garage. I put half the money and one of the bags of drugs in his boot and thought, hang on, this won't pass. I removed his spare tire from the wheel well and put the bag in there. The other 2 bags, I threw them down the storm drain in the laneway behind my house. As for the $6,000 cash, Jake did cost me a house full of furniture. Just saying. I sent a message to both Jake and Karen with the typical hurt script. I can't believe you did this. We were friends. Blah, blah, blah. I've left. I hope you two are happy together. I then made an anonymous tip to the local police and a TF about a man fitting Jake's description, loading what looks like drugs into the boot of a car that sounded like Jake's car and provided a partial plate number that matched Jake's car. It didn't take long for law enforcement to find the car and locate the drugs. What I wasn't counting on is Karen was driving the car at that time. She was later released when they found out she was driving the wrong car at the wrong time. A warrant went out for Jake's arrest, the icing on the cake. I found out later that not only was the police after Jake, his supplier was as well, as he lost a lot of product. Fast forward 3 months, I purchased a house, I was still working with Jill, Karen was pregnant with Jake's baby, and he was still on the run. I suspected she was keeping contact with Jake because she suddenly left the district when she was 8 months pregnant. 12 months after the incident, after a drunken night, Jill and I mixed business with pleasure and started dating. That was 10 years ago. We are married, have 2 children, and just opened our 3rd business. Dad still gets his weekly steak and beer. I did hear a rumor that Jake and Karen wound up in Alaska, but can't confirm this. I do feel a little bad about it now because Jake made it possible for me to date Jill and live a wonderful life. I do hope he's well. Well, first off, I don't think Jake was trading pills to Karen if that was ecstasy, because in case you don't know, ecstasy doesn't really work like that. It's not something you can get hooked on and take every day. I mean, you can, but it's not really going to do anything for you. How ecstasy works is basically all of your serotonin is released and you just feel, happy for a while. And your brain needs time to recharge, okay? You can't just take another dose and expect you to feel the same way, because it just doesn't work like that. And also, as far as I know, I don't think ecstasy is addictive. In case you're wondering why I know so much about it, and I don't really know that much about it, I was curious as to what it did after I saw Rickety Cricket, I think it was Rickety Cricket, take it in It's Always Sunny, and so I looked it up. And anyways, I wouldn't say this is SupernovaRevenge. Honestly, I feel like this barely counts as pro-revenge. The only thing that's revengey about it is they have to live in Alaska now, but Alaska's pretty damn great. It's beautiful, and it's cold, and it's big, and the air's clean, and there's nobody around you, and that's pretty cool, and there's bears every 3 square feet. This story's called Cheating on Me? Get HIV Then. This is not my story. I just saw this on Facebook and thought this might fit here. So this story belongs to a Chinese man. I just translated it. I've suffered for at least 6 months. Finally, I can push her into the darkest pit of hell. It's a long story, so let me light up a cigarette and tell you all about it. I met my girlfriend when we were on the same vacation tour back in 2006. The first time our eyes met, I made a promise to myself that I have to make her my girlfriend. The process wasn't hard by any means. I just poured my truest, deepest love out to her, to make her moved by my true feelings. I loved her. I truly, really loved her. But due to my job, I had to travel a lot. Sometimes I would be away from home for 15 days to a month. About 6 months ago, I noticed she had been showing signs of a cheater. She always tried to hide away from me when she was on her phone, either if she was texting or calling someone. I just lay my eyes on her phone and she would turn it off. I can almost confirm that she was cheating, but I didn't have any kind of evidence. I have an email account that had been logged in for a good while but rarely used. And then one day there were hotel bills sent to this email. I checked the emails and some other things and found out there were some note lines about the bill. After that, there was nothing left to clarify. But a man's soul can't truly die when he hasn't died. Me and some friends had found out about the man she had been freaking with and the hotel's location. The first thing I felt when her cheating on me was confirmed was anger. I was furious, not a bit heartbroken. It is the feeling when you wanted someone to die, gone, disappear. I wanted her to suffer and die, so reality had proven that money can solve anything. I found a way to contact the other man. His WeChat, it's like Facebook for Chinese to be exact. I have friends that are really talented, smart people, if I could tell. I made a friend with a doctor back in August last year. I told him my story and what my plan was. Also sprinkled in a bit of, you can benefit out of this too, of course I'll pay the money. He made up his mind for a few days and then gave me the contacts of some female patients that have HIV. There was no mention about the strict policy in the hospital about patients' privacy. Out of 3 patients I've met, only 1 agreed. Most of the ones who have HIV haven't had a clean life. When you have the money, you really can control the devil himself. I gave her the other man's contact info and a fee, and required her in the shortest time she could to give him HIV. This modern life made it really easy for a woman to sleep with a man. It only took her 5 days. I worried that only one night wasn't enough for him to have HIV, so I asked her to be his friend with benefits for a while and gave her 15,000 yuan, or $21.50 US. My girlfriend still didn't know anything. She really did fall for him. I knew it from reading her texts. About 2 weeks before Tet, she had a fever. A terrible, agonizing fever. I knew she already had HIV. We did have sex, but I had my condom on. I told her to go to the hospital, but due to my job, I had to be away for several days, so I couldn't cut it to the hospital with her. I would pay a fortune to see her face when she found out about the HIV though. After 2 days, I went home and saw her being upset and all, and then after asking my friend at the hospital, it is confirmed that she has HIV. I was ecstatic, but I played it cool. I was the dumb boyfriend that didn't know anything. She didn't know that I had already gotten the info about her HIV. We're still together for now. I want to witness with my own eyes her slowly dying on the hospital bed. That's all. If anything happens, I'll tell you later. Wow. Okay, so we can all agree that cheating is a horrible thing to do to your partner. I get it might be hard to break up, but honestly, it's way better for you and your character and their feelings to not cheat and to just break up. Because if you're willing to cheat, they deserve better. I'm sorry. However, with that being said, this is crazy. Now I get it, it's SupernovaRevenge, but I can still think it's crazy. Wow! Alright, this story's called My Prison Penpal Killed Her Brother. Okay, I honestly don't know if this story is allowed since it really isn't mine to tell, but I have permission. So I met this woman, who I will call Lucille, on a Prison Penpal site. I got bored over the summer, so yeah, I didn't really think of posting the story on here since the case was still ongoing and I didn't want to incriminate her or anything, so here it is. Lucille didn't have many close friends or family members, except her brother. They both had a great home life together. Married parents, nice house, good income, but their father came down with cancer and after his death, their mother remarried, which didn't sit well with Lucille's brother for some reason, which caused him to go into a rebellious mean streak that never ended. He became addicted to crack, but Lucille always tried to support him and tried to stay in contact with him. She was too good to him, if you ask me. I mean, he only ever called her when he needed money or a place to stay. She always delivered, even left a spare key for him. Honestly, quite surprised what happened hadn't happened sooner. At the time, Lucille, like any average human being, had a dog. She was a Beagle Terrier mix, incredibly hyper. Of course, her and Lucille were very close. Anyways, after coming home from work one day, Lucille came home to find Lucy dead. and not by natural causes. Lucille didn't give me details because the wounds are still pretty fresh, but she claims there was blood. She also claims that she knows it was her brother, that there was no broken lock, no broken window, no signs of somebody forcing their way in. But some of her meds were missing, as well as her laptop, tablets, and a few charging cables. To this day, Lucille doesn't know what caused her brother to do what he did. She just knows it was him. She decided to not press charges, claims she wasn't as upset with him at the time, and it wasn't until a few weeks had gone by of her trying to contact him for answers that it really got to her. He was ignoring her calls, and all she wanted was answers. Lucille said she was very ashamed of how much the death of her dog had affected her. She said she became very impulsive. She started drinking, going to bars a lot, slept around. I guess she just wasn't comfortable in the house anymore. Then she bought a gun, which she claims to be her biggest regret. After about a month, she got a call from him, something about wanting to talk or needing a place to stay. Lucille was drunk during the phone call and doesn't remember much of it. She doesn't know what the hell was wrong with her brother, and quite frankly, I don't know what made him think going back would be freaking okay. All she remembers, apart from the phone call, is shooting him in the face when he walked through her front door. Quick edit here, I'd just like to add that I really believe there is more to the story than what Lucille told me. I've tried contacting her again, but it's been forever and she hasn't gotten back to me yet. Hopefully I can find out some more details. Hey, I'm just saying, don't mess with a lonely woman's pet because, well, you see what happens. Let me know in the comments if you think that was justified. Do you see it as a soul for a soul? Or is it she killed him for basically vandalism? I guess what really matters is your opinion on dogs, I guess, and I'm sure a majority of everyone here loves dogs, so I guess they would think that's justified. And she did try to be civil, like she tried talking to him, but he ignored her, so take that into account. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.